Honors English, College Prep English. This video is over our town. Probably the last video I'm going to do this year for you guys. So it might be a little bit longer, not too long, but look at those skies behind me. I don't have any sunshine today, or no sunglasses. But man, those skies are kind of cool. It's one of my favorite spots at my house, sitting on my front porch. It's not real big. I'm planning on expanding a little bit, hopefully this summer. And but I love this spot. It's a great spot, looking out west at those beautiful skies. Morning, not too much in the afternoon, but a lot of time spent out here in the evening, looking west at the sunset and looking at the night sky and the stars. So I'm glad you've got to look inside my house a little bit, or my property and my surroundings a little bit. We've been able to connect in this rather strange way through these videos and your responses, and I've really enjoyed those responses that you guys have had, and I hope you've made the most of your time at home, because I have. I've done a lot of learning in this time, a lot of learning about a lot of stuff, and that's what teaching and education is all about. It's about learning, sharing learning. There's a different way of sharing, so I hope this has been meaningful for you guys, and we'll see how things transpire in the future. Who knows what's going to happen, but adapt, and seize the moments, seize the opportunities. And that's really what this play Our Town is all about. It's about seizing the opportunities. The play is divided into 3 acts. I remember the first time seeing this play, and I'm like, what is this thing about? Especially in Act 1, it's like there's nothing going on. And just we're watching 2 families side by side just going through their ordinary day. It's like, what's the plot? Well, as the play progresses, you if you're smart, you're clever, you realize you're in a trap, because the director of the play wants you to think nothing is going on. And then as you get into Act 2, and especially into Act 3, you realize, wow, so much was going on. And people were taking it for granted. So basically what the play does is, first of all, the stage production of how it's set up. People often ask, well, why no props? Why no scenery for the play? Well, for me, it's pretty simple. The director of the play and the writer of the play, Thornton Wilder, is trying to break down the barrier between the stage and the audience. And that's why the stage manager does a really strange thing. He directly talks to the audience. And in the case of, if you watch on video, directly to the camera, and pulls you in as though you're part of the play, because you are. In the ancient sense, in the Greek sense, in the Shakespearean sense, the audience are participants in the play. So you've got this this strange setup that they have, and then it pulls the audience, and sometimes there's characters in the play planted in the audience. That's rather common now. Every musical that we have every year does that. A lot of that goes back to Thornton Wilder and his techniques of breaking down those barriers. The other thing about the props that's weird is that there's nothing to look at on stage. I don't think that's accidental. I think that's on purpose. There's nothing else to look at except the people. And that's what it's all about. It's about focusing on the people that we so often don't look at. In the last scene, Emily says to her mom, "Can we just look at each other, though we really saw each other?" That idea of really, and if you think about things we've talked about this year with body language, really listening, not just listening to the words, but listening with your ears and your eyes and your intent, your body. Those kinds of things are really important. Are we really focused? So often we aren't. We're like, oh yeah, I'm listening, and you're on your phone, or you're doing something else. You're not looking at the camera. Imagine if I made this whole video and I'm just like doing something over here and I'm not even looking at you guys. Well, you turn it off in a couple of minutes. Because I'm not really engaged with you. I don't really want to be talking to you. And Thornton Wilder's saying that good people, not bad people, good ordinary people that mean no harm. It's one of the unfortunate things in our experience that we take people for granted in our daily life. And then here's the other thing that the play gets you to think about. Well, what takes up a majority of a person's life? He breaks down the play into 3 acts. It's daily life, love and marriage, and death. Well, how long does death take usually? For most people, it's not that long. I mean, sometimes it can be, it can be 6 months to a year. So, but usually it's not a gigantic portion of a person's whole life. In marriage, mine, 20 minutes. It was over. Most people, it's, you do a lot of preparation for it, and then there's a honeymoon afterwards. But, the marriage itself is very short. Well, then what takes up the in-between time? Well, it's the routine. It's the ordinary life, the daily life of people. And that's the stuff that people so often take for granted. And the ordinary routines and the people that we share those ordinary routines with. That's what this play is all about. And so you watch these people going through their routines, and they don't realize how precious they are. And there's some really pivotal, important moments, like the cornerstone scene, and that's an important scene for American culture, where the stage manager talks about this bank that they're building and all the stuff that they're putting the cornerstone. So 1,000 years from now, people know who they were in this ordinary town in Grover's Corner, New Hampshire. And they're going to put a copy of the Constitution, Shakespeare's plays, the Bible, Grover's Corner Sentinel, the local newspaper, the New York Times. And then he says, why don't we put a copy of that play, Our Town, in, so people will know what the real life is of ordinary people. That's a really pivotal moment. And so you got Act 1, and then you have Act 2, the love and marriage, and it comes back to this big idea of family. Family is the center. When you're on stage, when you're in the audience looking at the stage, you're looking at two families side by side, and you're comparing them, and their experiences are rather similar, and they're so important. And then in Act 2, it comes back to the next thing. It comes back to the new family, George and Emily, and the life that they start. And people have jobs. We got Doc Gibb, he's a doctor, and then you got Editor Webb, he's the editor of the paper. And how much of this play is spent talking about jobs? Not much. Why, according to Thornton Wilder? It doesn't matter that much. What matters most is life, your family, the people that you love. And people will still go and spend 60, 70 hours a week working a job to get money, and they never have any time with their family. And that's one of those things that a lot of people may do for years and then eventually realize, I missed out on so much. And that's what this play is all about. When you got the love and marriage, and you get to Act 3, and everybody's going to die. He says something's eternal about every human being, but everyone in this life that we have is going to die. And Emily has this really, really unusual experience of when she dies in childbirth and she's put up in the cemetery, she gets a chance to go back and relive a day. And when she relives that day, everybody says, don't do it. And when she finally decides she's going to do it because she can, they say, take the least important day because it'll be important enough. And so she goes back to one of her birthdays, I think her 14th birthday. She goes back and she realizes that no one, really focused on each other. No one really cared about the things that were most important in life and all those ordinary things. And so she's watching herself live it. She's watching her mom live it and her dad. She says, take me back to my grave. But when she goes to say, take me back to my grave, she says a goodbye to the world. And that goodbye to the world is one of the most famous speeches in American drama. And if you want to find that out, go check out YouTube, and you'll have Emily's farewell speech and all kinds of young actresses trying to do a better job than the last person in that goodbye speech. And what does she say goodbye to? Goodbye, world. Goodbye, Grover's Corners, clocks ticking, my butternut tree, mama, papa, hot baths, new iron dresses, eating and waking up. And then she says, oh, Earth, you're too wonderful for anyone to realize you. And then the key question, the whole play, do any human beings realize life while they live it, every minute? Stage manager looks at her and says, no, the saints and poets do some, maybe. So the best of us, the saints and the poets that have the insight that other people miss, they maybe do some. Even they take life for granted. And so I don't know how you categorize this play. It's, tragedy, comedy. It's, it's tragic. But there's something hopeful about the play in the way that it ends, because you got the stage manager saying, hey, it's the end of the day. It's about time we go to bed. It's time for you to go to bed too, implying that tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to have another day. And hopefully that new day that you have tomorrow, you're going to live very differently than you've lived any day in the past. I remember when I really got the gist of this play, everything changed for me. And I was young. I was, 21 in college, and things just changed for me. I said, man, I've never forgot it. And being very, very lucky as a teacher who has been able to teach this play many years, I get a constant reminder. Don't be a fool. Don't waste your life on things that are unnecessary. There's a guy on Twitter I follow that I like a lot, Hotep Jesus, like him a lot. And he says, who have you wasted your energy on today? His point is like, how many times do we waste emotional energy on things that don't matter and people that don't matter in the grand scheme of things? And he says all the time, and if you remind yourself, don't do it, man, let it go. Focus on the things that are near and dear. And in this whole quarantine thing that we've had, I think a lot of you guys have been able to connect to that because you're with the people that may matter the most. And I understand some of you may be having a really tough time because you might not be with people that are in your corner and all those things. But even that's a wake up, You're going to have to seize the day and find a way to make a better life for yourself as you become adults and you become independent and you have choices. Remember this play. I finish the school year every year with this play because to me it's life-changing. And it's if I had to say if there's one thing that I want you to remember more than anything from my class, it's this. I tried to teach you a lot of things about how you guys can seize your adulthood and maximize your potential. But ultimately, you got one life. And whether you're super successful or you just live a really basic life, the same principles matter. Your peace and your happiness are going to come from how grounded you are in the reality of your existence and daily living. So bless you guys. Have a good summer. If I don't talk to you again, if I see you around town eventually, say hi. Miss everybody. God bless.